Good evening. It is my privilege and great pleasure to finally meet with Dr. Richard Kouyoumjian, former Minister of Social Affairs, and the combatant, someone who has chosen to leave the heaven of USA and return to his homeland in Lebanon to carry on and contribute to the political resistance of Lebanon. Good evening, Mr. Minister.
Good evening, Parev.
Please kindly allow me to address you as comrade, because I have been accompanying the Lebanese Forces and the Phalange Party since 1996, because I believe in the sovereignty and the independence of Lebanon. And who better carries the torch of this resistance better than the Lebanese Forces and the Lebanese Front and the Phalange? So can I address you as comrade, Rafi?
Absolutely.
Very fine, great. Comrade and Dr. Kouyoumjian, we have witnessed lately that Iran once again turned out to be a bubble. Many experienced political analysts in Lebanon and in Armenia and in the USA, Armenians, told me, no, this time Iran has no other choice than to retaliate fiercely, because it will lose every prestige and it will lose face. But apparently, once again, Iran just did nothing. We don't even hear this word. It has been forgotten. But once again, it seems that Iran wants to use its allies or proxies to do the job. Do you think that Hezbollah is now the one who will carry on this retaliation and will bring catastrophe to Lebanon? This is the great question.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for this kind of introduction of yours. Definitely, Iran is doing its own interest, and definitely it's using its proxies, to wage the war against Israel, or to even fight Israel through its proxies. But behind all of this, sure, I mean, the cause, the Palestinian cause and the right of the Palestinian people is a noble cause. However, Iran is using this as a pretext, for its own
agenda,
political project and agenda throughout the Middle East. What Iran wants is to export its revolution and to establish, the Islamic order in the Middle East and all over the world, according to, according to Wilayat al-Faqih, according to the vision of Ayatollah Khomeini and now Khamenei and the Iranian revolution, the Islamic revolution, the way they see it. So this is a real agenda of Iran. Now the Palestinian cause is being used as a pretext, for them to get engaged in the Middle East. Now, as long as we Lebanese are concerned, we look for the interest of Lebanon. Like,
actually,
Armenians in Armenia would look for the highest interest of Armenia first, not the neighboring countries. Absolutely. If there is peace and stability throughout the region, it will be better for Lebanon. But in this war that Mr. Sinwar and Hamas waged against Israel on October 7, well, it's their business. It's not ours. So on 8 October, Hezbollah, and according to the Iranian guidance, they started to wage a war. They call it a war of support for Gaza and to keep the Israeli army busy. This is why it was like a war tit for tat, like shelling here and shelling there. So after 10 months, all this war that Hezbollah waged didn't help Gaza. We see like Gaza today is totally destroyed. You have tens of thousands of killed people. You have displaced occupation, taking place. So Hezbollah, and behind it, all the proxies of Iran, even the Houthi in the Red Sea, and the Jihad Islamic in Palestine, and Hamas, and
very bad internet connection.
So our concern now is Lebanon. Our priority is our country, is Lebanon. Now, I'm sorry, you're asking me if Iran would retaliate. Well, I don't think Mr. Haniya, the head of Hamas, the political bureau of Hamas, is more precious than Qasem Soleimani, or is more precious than the Revolutionary Guard commanders that were killed in the bombing of the Iranian consulate in Damascus. So I don't see that Iran would go out of its way, would wage a war that could cause damage to Iran just because Israel kissed Mr. Haniya. So their priority is their own interest, and their priority could be not to wage a war. So this is why you see rhetorics and you see a strong language, but you don't see actions. And now it's fading down. After 10 days or 12 days of the assassination of Mr. Haniya inside Tehran, the mood now, especially when you see negotiation taking place in Qatar about the ceasefire, and you see Mr. Amos Hochstein visiting Lebanon to talk about establishing some arrangement in South Lebanon. So I don't think the mood now is for retaliation or for waging a war that's more larger than what we have now. So all the work now is to keep it, reduce the possibility of a larger or expanded war. So yes, Iran may, according to its interest, may wage face-saving, maybe a small action, small retaliation to save the face, but I don't think it will lead to a much bigger war.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Kouyoumjian, it seems that not only Iran, it seems that even Hezbollah is embarrassed in an awkward position, because it for decades promised its ranks, its supporters that it is that invincible force that when the time comes and our strikes, it will position itself and involve in a war to help Palestine. But as much I see, whatever I see is also saving face, because it will not dare to go to an open war with Israel. I think that they have the same situation. What we see here is just a theater. General Narek Apramian, the Lebanese former commander, said that what goes on is not even a limited technical war. It said that what's going on is even a semi-tactical war, not even some kind of serious war. What is your opinion on this subject?
Well, I think the most important is, rather than itself, it's the strategy that you adopt. When you face a crisis, or even when you face an aggression, or when you face something similar to what happened in Gaza.
Yeah.
We as Lebanese, we had the choice between two strategies. The first strategy that Hezbollah adopted, and according to the Iranian instruction, is what they call it the strategy of the unity of the fronts. So they wage a war from Lebanon, and for them it was like a calculated and limited war, well measured war. They don't want it to expand. What they're doing now in the Red Sea and in the Strait of what they call it, anyway, in the Red Sea, and you know, so it was this strategy of unity of the front to wage a war against Israel, and in the way they thought it would help Gaza. I think this strategy was a face-saving strategy, even because Hamas, I'm sorry, Hamas was expecting from Hezbollah and from Iran an immediate help, and they would wage a war to help them. They didn't, so they limited that war to this kind of action, like tit for tat and shelling here and shelling there. So this is the first strategy, and this strategy we consider it bad for Lebanon.
Yeah, of course.
Our strategy was the implementation of the United Nations Security Council resolution, mainly 1701 and 1559, and the deployment of the Lebanese army throughout the south, and with the backing, with the help of the UNIFIL, that's in there. It is there now. So this is another strategy of some sort of neutrality, you know, not neutrality, I mean, adopting the international resolution 1701 and the Armistice Accord of 1949. You know, most of the Lebanese, I can tell you, they are for the adoption of this strategy. Yeah, we sympathize with the Palestinian people.
Absolutely.
I mean, we feel with them. Okay, we are for the two-state solution. We are against the atrocity that being committed against the Palestinian people. But hey, I mean, this is our home. This is our country.
Of course, naturally.
We can't. We're not ready, and our you know, tools in our hand.
We cannot afford this. The issue is that Lebanese.
We cannot afford, exactly.
Afford financially and economically and socially. Lebanon is in big catastrophe.
And we cannot do more than what Saudi Arabia is doing, Egypt is doing, even Syria. You know, Syria did nothing. So why Lebanon should do more than other countries with, you know, Lebanon is with limited resources, you know, and is already coming out of a deep financial and commercial crisis. So we cannot afford that, and don't ask the Lebanese to provide more than other countries are giving to the Palestinian people, especially that since 1969 we've been suffering and we've been paying the price for the Palestinian cause. So enough is enough. We cannot do more than what others are doing, and our priority is Lebanon first. Like any other people, they look forward to take care of their own country, not for somebody else's country.
Naturally, I can say that Lebanon has been the smallest country that has paid the highest price. I mean, Lebanon was the Eden of the East, and now it is devastated and destroyed. Its economy and its social situation and financial situation is in ruins. Dr. Kouyoumjian.
And I can tell you one more thing, that, you know, even now, who's paying the price in the south is the Lebanese people, the people of South Lebanon.
Yeah.
There we have now more than 100,000 persons displaced. We have billions of
Hello again, Dr. Kouyoumjian. I have a very interesting question. Lately, we have followed up, and inside the Iranian parliament, one of the deputies has accused, as far as I understood, has accused the Syrian intelligence and the Russian intelligence that they are handing over the data to the Israelis, and that is why the Israelis are getting their target very easily. I don't know if you have heard this, but it seems that there is a serious conflict between the Russian and the Iranian influences inside Syria. Now we know that Bashar Assad is not in control of anything. It is clear that Syria now fights with the Hezbollah fighters on the ground, with the Iranian finance, and with the Russian warplanes. Do you think that this is a possibility that they are backstabbing the Iranians in Syria, the Syrian intelligence and the Russians? Do you have any idea or something to add?
Well, definitely, you know, you have to look at the whole Syrian map now.
Yeah.
You have the Iranians, you have the Syrian regime, you have the Americans, you have the Turks, you have, you know, the Kurds. You have many powers inside Syria and many armies in a way.
And Hezbollah,
so definitely,
of course.
And Hezbollah for sure. So there is maybe some conflict of interest there between those powers. Now, definitely there is, you know, I mean, when between the Iranian and the Russian, you'll see some I won't say power struggle, because definitely Russia, I mean, the Syrian regime owes his survival to the Russians, because the Hezbollah alone couldn't help the regime to keep its grip on the Syrians. So with the help of the Russian, it was a decisive moment when the Russian you know, got involved in the war, and they finished it. So I would say there is some sort of understanding now between those powers, and definitely the Syrian regime has, you know, the least saying in all of this. He has no power whatsoever. But what I think, there is some you know,
rivalry. Rivalry.
Yeah, there is some rivalries, but you know, the intelligence, they have some sources, some spies, you know, in some, you know, is you know, within the Syrian army, within the Syrian troops, you have people, you have spies, and you have, so I would put it that way, and money can buy any those people. So definitely they're you know, the Israeli intelligence, whether it's Mossad or others, they have some infiltration even inside Iran and inside Syria. So they have some sources and they have some spies, and they
a very high technology, maybe
they're helping them, and high technology, definitely. They have some human sources and spies, and they're helping them, definitely. So I put it that way. Yeah. I put it that way rather than a power struggle between the Russian and the Iranian, because, you know, Russia is still a superpower comparing to Iran. So,
Dr. Kouyoumjian, I'm sure you agree that the Kremlin, Moscow, has been the international godfather of all dictators. I don't think that you disagree. We know that how much they mobilized the Syrian army when they bombarded the free Lebanese areas, East Beirut. We always had our taste of the Russian bombs, of the Russian mobilization. I think that now Russia, the West has got its way. I don't think that they will bring Russia to its knees, because this is very dangerous. They can retaliate with nuclear retaliation. But I think that they got their way, and now Russia, as they say in Arabic, tahjim, they got it diminished to its borders. I think that now Russia is no longer able to interfere outside as a regional presence. I think that what took place in Kursk a couple of days ago means that Russia will never be able to decide to win a decisive victory. It cannot settle this war. Do you think that this will be a good, positive development? And now the Syrian regime will lose the backup of Moscow, and maybe the Syrian people, they will have their freedom, and Lebanon will have its prosperity, because we know that the Syrian regime has become the burden on Lebanon for maybe 4 decades.
Yeah, well, let me tell you first that I'm not here to to make any judgment about the Russian regime,
as a political analyst.
It's the business of the Russian people to decide who is going to govern them. And
well, I'm not saying about opening, but I said that has diminished their influence now.
And under what regime regime they wanna live. It's their business. So definitely, eventually, the Syrian regime cannot be supported forever by Russia or by Iran, because each one of those countries, they have their own priorities. Russia now is involved in the Ukrainian-Russian war, and they have their own priority, they have their own economy they want to take care of, etc., etc. So eventually, yes, the Syrian regime won't be able to get support or more support from Russia or from Iran, but not soon. I think for the time being, they still inside Syria, whether Russia or Iran, and they still helping the regime. They still taking care of their interests. Russia now has Tartus. They have their fleet in the port of Tartus. They have their military presence inside Syria. So I don't see any disengagement for the time being. I think the current statu quo would be preserved for the time being.
Yes, I understand. If we come to the Lebanese front, Dr. Kouyoumjian, Lebanon, I have never seen such a level of recklessness and indifference to the interest of Lebanese people. We all know the catastrophe and the tragedy of Lebanon. There are no services. Now we say, as I interviewed you, you are a former minister, and you cannot have a good internet. This is a shame, economically, financially, socially, service-wise, and on every level. Lebanon is now dysfunctional. We do not have a president, and no one is discussing, because we got used to this situation. We don't have a government. We have only a government of, they say, tasrif amel. I mean, that they can do what they can only temporarily. When will the Lebanese people unite, the opposition, the Sovereignty Front, the Cedar Revolution, and the NGO parties of the revolution? I think even the armies, the supporters of the FPM have been fed up. We see that too much split in the FPM. When will be our mature that we take care of our own? Because frankly, Dr. Kouyoumjian, it's a very bad tragedy that we witness in Lebanon.
Yeah, I mean, we have no choice, but to struggle and to fight for our sovereignty and for our freedom and for our state building agenda.
Yes.
This has been going on for many decades, and we're still in the same way, in the same trajectory of defending our existence, our freedom, and our Lebanon. So we're gonna continue that way. I know the period now is tough, is not easy. Again, we have no government. Now we have a caretaker government, and under the hegemony of Hezbollah, and they have the decision, the strategic decision of the state is now in Hezbollah's hand, because they confiscate, in a way, the state institutions. But this can't continue like that, and it won't continue because we have a strong opposition now. We have the sovereignist, all those groups and parties that believe in the sovereignty of Lebanon, in the state building, in democracy,
Yes.
in freedom, etc., etc. So, in a a state that's modern state, etc. So the fight is not easy, but we have a strong group of opposition within the parliament. We are now between 30 and 40 deputies. And, you have the Lebanese Forces, the Kataib, the Tajaddud, even among the change new deputies, we have many of them are with us. And, even some parties, they have no deputies like Hinchak and Ramgavar. They are with us. They believe in the same principle that we believe in. Now, unfortunately, still you mentioned the Aounist, like the Aounist and the Tashnag and other parties are, they believe in the strategy of Hezbollah. So they kind of, even though they're against the war that Hezbollah waged in the south, but in the time, I call it a time of truth, the moment of the truth, they are on Hezbollah's side. They said, their rhetoric is like Hezbollah is defending Lebanon and Hezbollah is resistance, muqawameh. We don't believe in that, because we think the only institution that's the only legal institution that can defend Lebanon, and it will defend Lebanon, is the Lebanese army. And the Lebanese army is backed by all the Lebanese. At the beginning of the war, since a year ago, I think, they did some polls, and the polls showed that 80% of the Lebanese are against the war in the south now, and they're backing, they supporting the Lebanese army. So it's a privilege, and it's the monopole of the Lebanese army
decision, yes,
and the right of the Lebanese army only to defend Lebanon. We have soldiers, we have good soldiers, we have the army, even with limited resources. The most important,
it has the support of all the Lebanese people.
population.
It is the most important.
Exactly,
factor.
the support of the Lebanese people, the support of the population, the support of the Lebanese citizen is, with our friend in the international community, we could have spared Lebanon this war.
Yes.
And we still believe in that. And in case we have any aggression, we have anybody who want to occupy Lebanon, whether Israel or somebody else, we have the Lebanese army with the Lebanese people. We can defend our country. We don't need Hezbollah or the Iranian factions to defend us.
Since you mentioned the Hunchaks, I want to say that I am not a party member. I have never joined ranks, but I want to testify, Dr. Kouyoumjian, that most Hunchaks love you personally very much. I don't know. I think that
thank you.
Because I saw you visiting their medical center. I want to testify that most Hunchaks have a special sympathy and love towards you, Dr. Kouyoumjian.
Yeah,
this is a fact.
Definitely.
Yes.
There is a lot that unite us with Hinchak. First, we have the Armenian cause, that's still alive, and we commemorate it every year and every day, even, and we have also the Lebanese cause.
Dr. Jaja,
exactly, and exactly, and also they are, we are all Lebanese, even though it's an Armenian party, but we all Lebanese of Armenian origin that we are proud of. Okay, so we are all now Armenian Lebanese.
Yes.
And
Lebanese
Lebanon
Armenians.
is our country. And, you know, we have some affiliation, you know, sentimental and emotional
Naturally.
affiliation to Armenia. We don't hide that. But, you know, at the end of the day, Lebanon is our country. And we both believe in the same principle of freedom and democracy and state building and the
Yes.
rule of law. So this is why we're together in this struggle.
Allow me to salute the Hunchak party as a supporter
Sure.
who has joined the Cedar Revolution. Dr. Kouyoumjian, you may choose not to answer this question. It's optional. In a democratic, I am very democratic, but I want you to share your experience, and I want myself to share my experience, what I saw in Lebanon and what we saw in Armenia. The same issue, the same patronizing. We know that in Lebanon, our most deepest issue was for decades, that the patronizing of Syria Shia, the Syrian sister, the Syria issue.
Yeah.
When I came to Armenia, I saw the same issue. It was now the brother Russia who patronized and wanted to supervise Armenia. We know that every time that Lebanon faced the war with Israel, the Syrians watched. They did nothing, but they were announced. They were declared the champion of defense for Lebanon. I saw the same issue in Armenia, that there are some people who are mesmerized in brother Russia. You may choose not to answer, but I want you to share your experience, how much it is damaging and dangerous for a country to be mesmerized by another country and consider it its supervisor, the patronizer, and its protection, because only Lebanon is protected by Lebanese, and Armenia must only has its orientation to be self-defending.
Well, you know, sometimes geopolitics could be a good thing for nations, a bad thing. You know, recently we lost Artsakh, and it was a huge loss after 20 years of even more, 25 years of independence. You know, so it was a bad thing that happened, and unfortunately, we were left alone. You know, nobody came to our help.
Yes.
Russia or Europe or the United States. Nobody cared about Artsakh or about Armenians in this big loss. So yes, unfortunately, I mean, Armenia is landlocked. You know, we're surrounded by Russia, by Georgia, by Turkey, by Azerbaijan, and by Iran. So it's a tough situation. Yes. And I think it's for the Armenian government and for the Armenian parliament, the Armenian people, to decide what best for Armenia, what strategy could work best for Armenia. You know, we don't wanna see more losses. You know, we want to preserve what's left. So the best strategy would be for the Armenians inside Armenia to get together and to unite together despite political differences, and to decide about what best strategy we should adopt as Armenians to preserve and to safeguard motherland Armenia.
Dr. Kouyoumjian, you are a very active member. You are, I am sure, you are as much Lebanese as I'm Armenian. I want to testify that when I'm in Lebanon, I dream about Armenia, and when I'm in Armenia, I dream about Lebanon. I have this complex.
Right.
Yes, but you, someone who has a very high caliber in the Lebanese forces, you are the person in charge of the foreign relations. You are, like they said, the foreign minister of Lebanese forces, Wazir al-Khariji.
Right.
I want to ask and suggest this idea that maybe you and me can cooperate, that you establish ties with the Armenian parties in Armenia. Maybe I can help you with that, and of course you can help me with this. Of course, we cannot discuss this on the air, But I just want to hortorel. I just now want to plead you to think in this direction. But this has to be discussed fair, of course. My questions are finished. But Dr. Kouyoumjian, I want you to address whatever you have in your heart and your mind to the Lebanese and to the Armenians. I have two fatherlands. I have Armenia and I have Lebanon. So I have two eyes. One is Lebanon and one is Armenia. And of course, the greatest one as an international socialist is humanity. Please go ahead.
Right. Yeah, you know, me too. I have one grandfather that's Lebanese and one grandfather that is Armenian. So I feel the burden of the Lebanese cause on one shoulder, and on the other shoulder I have the burden of the Armenian cause. So, and we're gonna continue. You know, small nations, you know, like Lebanese and Armenians, they have to take care of themselves. They have to stay united, and they have to stay focused on their future, and they have to find the right strategy to adopt and the right decisions to take, because you know in regional crisis or in international crisis, even in regional wars, so small nations, they have to know what decisions they should take and what strategies they should adopt.
Yes.
And in that way they can preserve themselves and they can save their existence. So because we are small nations, we have no choice but to fight and to struggle.
Yes.
To defend ourselves and to find the right allies and to find the right strategy. You know, geopolitics, as I said, is tough sometimes. It could harm you sometimes because of your geographical location. So this is why we should be prudent, but we should keep faith. You know, faith in our land and faith in our nation and faith in our people. So we have no other road to take but the road of faith and struggle, and to keep our freedom and our faith and our existence.
Dr. Kouyoumjian, please allow me to ask you and pass my greetings and regards to all of the brothers of the Lebanese Forces and the Falange and the Hunchak party, of course. I want to mention some. If I forget any name, I'm sorry. Like our brothers,
no problem.
Charles Jabour, Charlie Azar, Imad Wakim, Eli Marouni, of course, Dr. Richard Kouyoumjian. Lately, I have been introduced to a very intelligent young person, George Aouri, to all the brothers and comrades of the Lebanese Forces, of the Lebanese Falange, all the Lebanese nationals, the Hunchak party, and of course all Lebanese. I don't want to discriminate, but of course the Lebanese of the Cedar Revolution are close to my mind, but all of you are close to my heart. Thank you.
Sure, thank you, Peter. And my last word would be, I'm ready. You know, you mentioned the Armenians party. We're ready, you know, to cooperate, and we're ready to open up, you know, and to have good relationship with Armenian parties inside Armenia. We have to, as I said, we have to stay together to be able to survive and to continue our struggle. So we're ready for any suggestion. We're ready for. I have good relations, you know, in Lebanon. I have good relations with all Armenian parties. Ramgavar, Hinshak, Tashnak. Even we have some political differences with Tashnak, but I'm in good relation because, you know, the cause is would unite us,
yes.
As I mentioned, and we're ready, you know, to work with everybody for the sake of both Lebanon and Armenia.
You know, just to finalize, we have a political party here in Armenia that is very similar to the Lebanese Forces. It is called the National Democratic Alliance. And one of its most famous leaders is a Lebanese Armenian from Anjar. Maybe you have heard of him, Commander Giler Sefilian. because for me, the NDA, and of course all other parties, but especially on the ground, the NDA is just like the Lebanese Forces. You know that Dr. Jaja was in prison, and when he got out, Lebanese Forces are the hugest party in the parliament. Also, Sefilian was in prison. We have one of our leaders, Arjana Vedisyan, also in the prison. So I think that as a logo, the most party that resembles Lebanese Forces, it is the Lebanese Forces version in Armenia for me, is the National Democratic Alliance. So I will be glad to try in this direction. And of course, in all directions, I don't want to discriminate. I have my guest was one of the most humble and modest people that I've ever known, because we know that most politicians are arrogant, but not Dr. Kouyoumjian. He is very modest and he's very friendly and very kind. I salute you, and I salute this
welcome.
And all Lebanese. Thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you, Peter. Sure, thank you.
Any word in Armenian?
Alan. Thank you.
Armenian?
Huh?
Any word in Armenian or Arabic?
Sedasutyon. Yalla, we'll see you later.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
In 3 languages.
Okay.